Hello everyone, welcome to Less Than 10 Tutorials. My name is Toshif and today we are going to learn about Git and GitHub. So what is Git? Git is a version control system and it is used to track changes of files in your computer. This is primarily used by developers to maintain different versions of their code. So it's also known as source code management. Say, for example, you are trying to develop an app and you have version 1, and then you write some more changes in your code, and then you have version 2. So, what Git helps is keep you track of these different versions of the software and lets you go back to the old version if you have problems with the new one, and so on and so forth. Another thing useful is that it also allows you to work with other people. Say, for example, you're working on first part of your code and you're making some changes there, and you have a collaborator who is working on another part of your code and he's making some changes there. So what Git allows you to do is collaborate with your friends or other developers and maintain a central repository which tracks the changes that each one of you are making. So every developer who is making the changes can see these new changes, download them, and contribute. So that way you have a centralized managing system where you can control all the source code changes. Now, what is GitHub? GitHub is basically an online service and it allows you to upload your Git repositories into a central location online at github.com. And there you can collaborate with other developers or your team members who want to share the project or who are developing the same application with you. And GitHub provides you with a lot of new options, advanced features. You can look at those features here. I'll just give an overview of the site. So this is github.com and you have to sign up. All your repositories that you make here is by default public, but you can also subscribe for a pro option at the pricing section, but you have to buy that one. So let's go deep into Git and GitHub. So in both Git and GitHub, you will see the term repository getting used again and again. So what is a repository? So repository is also abbreviated as repo. It is basically a location where you keep all the changes of your files stored. So it's like a database, and you can have a repository locally and also have it on github.com. It is basically the same. If you're making a repo on github.com, you will go to you have to sign up first and create an account, and then you can go to the create repository page where you will get a UI like this, and you select public because by default everything is public, and then you click on create repository. You have to give a repository name, and you will be using this name on github.com to upload, download, and do all sorts of operations. In the later exercises, we will be doing actual work with Git and GitHub. So, but before I go there, we want to discuss a few things. So, like I mentioned before, first you have to create an account on github.com and remember the username and password. We'll be using this again and again in our local system whenever you are trying to sync your local Git repository with GitHub. And in a nutshell, there are 4 or 5 commands that we need to remember while using Git. And this is what we'll be using as a beginner. Of course, there are more advanced options with Git, which we will not cover at this point of time. And we will also not cover branching. So basically, when you are working in a local environment, in a local terminal or shell, these are the commands that you need to remember. So first is git status. When you type in this command, it will tell you what is the current sync status of your local Git repo, which means say you made some changes, it will show you whether that changes are recorded by the your Git repo. And there are 2 steps to upload or download your repo with GitHub. One is git pull and one is git push. So when you do git pull, it will download the changes from github.com, and when you do git push, what it will do is it will sync and upload uh, your changes which is you made locally and update the remote repository which is on github.com. And in order to add changes, what you do is git add, and you have to add the file names on which you made the changes, or you can use the dash dash all option, which will add all the files and changes to your local git repository. And then you have to commit the changes, which means first you have to add the changes, and once you commit, then what happens is that it you can think of it like you have committed a new version of your software which is called XYZ. And it also follows the same format. Either you write the file names one by one, or you can use dot dash dash all option. So these are the steps that we will follow to create and maintain a Git repository for your projects. So first, you need to log into github.com and create a new repository. We'll be doing this step by step in the exercise section, and we'll go over all of this manually by hand. So in this example, like for example, you go and create a new repository on github.com and name your repository as your repository. uh, this is what I am using for this tutorial. And now on your local machine, what you do is you go and type in a command called git clone, and you have to use the repository link. So this link will be available at github.com, and wherever is your repository, you will see there is an HTTPS link over there. Once you have cloned this repository, you will see there is a folder or a directory in your in your workspace, which is called, the name will be your repository, and you can check with the ls command. You cd into your directory, and then what you do is you have now a directory which has a git repository initialized. You can create your files, folders, do all your work, and put all your work in this directory. Once you have finished all the work, then what you do is you do git add all, meaning you are adding all these files into your git repository to be tracked. And once you have added them, then git knows that these are the files that I need to track. And the next step is you commit, which means whenever you make a change, you commit them. Once you commit, then it is recorded in the git repo, and all those changes will get synced into the git repo. Now if you want to upload and sync your remote git repository with the local one, then you do a git push origin master. If you are, by default, it will if you don't use origin master, it will sync it to the master branch. So master branch is something, for now you remember, is the main branch of the git repo, and it will always sync into that branch. A few things to note: that when you do a push, when you use this git push command, because you're interacting with the web service github.com, it will ask you for your username and password. So you have to enter the username as well as the password. And every time you push, you have to enter those credentials. So but if you want to prevent that, what you can do is you can do a git config credential helper store. What it means is that it will save your username and password in your local directory in an encrypted format, so that next time when you do git push, it will not ask for your username and password. So the format is that you have to do git config credential helper store. So this will store, and then immediately after that you have to do a git pull. Once you have done these two steps, it will remember your username and password. For first time users on a machine where you have not used git before, when you try to initialize git or do something with git, it will ask you to enable global options. So what it will show is, it will ask you to run these two commands, which means git wants to know what is the name with which you want to use git, and also git will ask you to enter your user email. The reason why they ask these two items is because in your online git repository, the changes will be saved by name or by user basis, and in order to do that, it needs your name as well as email. So that's why it will ask you for this. Once you have done all that, you have pushed your git repository, then you should be able to go to the